Before we jump into this lesson, I just want to let you know one thing. There's a podcast now. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can also find it on Spotify. It's called The Drum Show with Steve and Taylor, and it's all about you and answering your questions. Check that out, subscribe. If you dig it, rate it, review it as well, share it with your friends, and if you ever have questions, send them in to me, because literally the entire show is about you. There's new episodes drop every Tuesday. On with the lesson.
This lesson on Jeff and his playing is one of the most requested from you all, so hopefully you will enjoy it. Two things before we jump into this. The sheet music is in a pinned comment as well as the video description for you to download. There's additional measures. We transcribe them exactly as from the song, but then sometimes I'll have to normalize that groove because they may improvise within it. So if there's any discrepancies between the sheet music and my teaching, that's the reason. I'm trying to give it the best way, present it the best way I can. As well, this is a series, and so I have pinned a ton of these below. We've got Stuart Copeland, Dave Grohl, Chad Smith, who else? John Bonham, tons of drummers that I've broken down grooves that I think that you should know. So those are gonna be linked below as well. Let's jump into this. Now, I am skipping the Rosanna shuffle. I'm skipping the Rosanna halftime shuffle, because that has been broken down so many times. He does it actually in a video here on YouTube, so you can look that up and actually learn it from him.
And that would sound like this.
I'm leaving that one out. These are the top 5 grooves besides that one, obviously. All right, so this first one is gonna be the Lido Shuffle. This is a Boz Scaggs tune, and it's moving. It's about 140 BPM. I love the consistency with which he plays his ghost notes. He was the epitome of a studio drummer within how much control he had over his instrument and how great he always sounded. The deep pocket, I could go on and on. He is one of my favorite drummers. I'm sure he's a lot of your favorite drummers as well. I didn't say that right. I'm not of your. Anyway, a lot of people like him. All right, let's check this out. So it's gonna be a swung hi-hat. You can either think of swinging the 8th note, or it's gonna be the 1st and the 3rd triplet partial. So 1 la li, 2 la li, 3 la li, 4 la li. That's gonna be consistent. The snare drum is going to come on the 2nd triplet partial of 1. It's a ghost note. 1 la li. And then an accented note followed by an unaccented ghost note. He does that quite a bit in his playing. So the first 2 beats. That's going to repeat. It's a 2-beat groove, really. So beats 1 and 2 are the same as beats 3 and 4. The kick drum is gonna go 1 la li, and so the 1st and the 3rd, and then it's going to skip and hit the 3rd triplet partial of beat 2. So one of the keys to this groove is making sure you have those ghost notes down as soft as you can get them. They're really even below the hi-hat. So that's gonna be the Lido Shuffle. That's about 140 BPM. Let's put it to a click and I'll show you what that sounds like. The second song is also a Boz Scaggs tune, or the second groove is also a Boz Scaggs tune. It's called Lowdown. A lot of people misunderstand how this groove was recorded, so it was overdubbed. There is panned to the hard left, I believe it is. There's a 16th note hi-hat pattern. But Jeff is actually playing 8th notes with the groove, all right? So the 8th notes are gonna be accent all the downbeats on the hi-hat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... The snare drum pattern, it's a 2-bar groove, so the snare drum pattern is gonna go 1 and 3 and... We see again that accent with the unaccented note. Then it's gonna go 3 and 4 and He buzzes the of 4. The second measure on beat 2 with the snare drum is gonna be. And then on beat 3, he's raising the hi-hat on the and then a downbeat on 4. Kick drum is gonna come on 1, the of 2, and the downbeat of 3. 1-E and a 2-E and a 3 and a 4-E and a 1-E and a 2-E and a 3 and a 4-E and 1-E and a 2-E and a 3 and a 4-E and a 1-E and a 2-E and a 3 and 4-E and a 1-E and a 2-E and a 3 and 4-E and a 1-E and a 2-E and a 3 4-E and a 1-E and a 2-E and a 3 4-E and a 1-E and a 2-E and a 3. Now, some variations, you will hear him playing sometimes the hi-hat on the opening of the and of 4. He'll open it in other places. So the hi-hat will open in different spaces. He does some improvisation within there. So let's put it to a click. This is at 115 BPM. Let's see what it sounds like. Now, alternately, you can also use those 16th notes. You just have to eliminate the ghost notes on the hi-hat, so you can play both of them kind of merged together, and they'll sound like this. The third groove that I just love that he played is on the tune by Toto. It's Mushanga, and I may be saying that wrong. I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments if I am. All of you know that I don't talk so good. They didn't learn my language so good up there to the college. So if I say it wrong, I'm sure you'll let me know. But this groove, I've loved it for such a long time. It's really hard to tell what he's doing in the recording because it's mixed in so well with the other stuff. There is an example of him demonstrating this online, so I would suggest you go look that up as well. It's a variation from what we heard on the recording, but it is very, very, very similar. And so I would look at that, listen to the recording, and you'll come up with very much what is happening there. So kick drum is going to be 4 on the floor. And then he incorporates a couple of rudiments here. And so the first rudiment he's gonna incorporate starts on the and of 1. So it's gonna be an open hi-hat on the downbeat of 1, slightly open. And then he's going to start a double paradiddle. So it's gonna go right, left, right, left, right, right. The first right, left is on the high tom. So it's 1 and accenting the Then he comes down here, 2E, and then and And this is a halftime groove, all right? So we're gonna hit the downbeat of 3 on the snare drum, and then we're gonna begin another rudiment, a paradiddle, between the floor tom and the hi-hat actually. So it's gonna be 3, and then on the and, it's gonna be and, 4E, and then ghosted on the kick drum sliding into beat 1 of that neck. So it's gonna go. Now let's put all of that together very slowly, and then I'll push it to the album tempo, which is around 125 BPM. Let you hear what that sounds like. Really listen to the recording and try to match up what you're playing with what he is playing. Number 4, I had to include in there, it is from I Keep Forgettin by Michael McDonald. This is about 96 BPM. Now the reason I had to include it was because they use this as the main basis for the song by Warren G, Regulators. I believe that's the name of the song. And so we're gonna start, he plays this with the snare drum too, but we're gonna start with rim click. It's gonna be 16th notes here, and it's gonna be a 4-bar loop. The first bar, 2 and 4 is gonna be on the snare drum throughout all 4 bars. 16th notes here, so those are the same. First measure and third measure look exactly the same. So it's gonna go in the kick drum, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Second measure is going to be the and of 1 is gonna be on the kick drum, and then on 2, it's 2E and a 3. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Both those measures together, 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and. Now I will say in that first measure, he sometimes raises the hi-hat on the and of 1 as well. Now in the third measure, remember I said it's exactly the same as the first measure. We have a hi-hat on the and of 4 that's raised up. And then the next measure is going to be different. So the fourth measure, kick drum is on the and of 1, the downbeat of 3, and the of 3, and the and of 4. So let me clap that. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and. Let me play all of those together. 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4 and 1 and 2E and a 3, 4 again. 3, 4 and 1 and 2E and a 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4. All right, now let's go ahead and speed this up. It's gonna be about a 96 BPM, so we're gonna speed it up to album tempo, put it with a click, and I'll let you hear what that sounds like. It's such a slick groove. And this last one, again, there's so many great ones. It's impossible for me to pick. Put your favorite down in the comments section if it's not in here. This is going to be, we went back and forth over these grooves. Tim is the drummer that transcribes all my stuff. You know him, he edits videos and stuff. And so we went back and forth about what we should use, you know, what would be best, what shouldn't be. And this, he's like, dude, you gotta include this one. So it's gonna be Hold the Line by Toto. It is such a cool variation of a shuffled type of a pattern. And so like a triplet shuffled type of a pattern. This is gonna be in 12/8. It's best notated in 12/8. And so the hi-hat's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're gonna do that over and over. If it helps you to count to 6 twice, that's totally fine. So kick drum's gonna be 4 on the floor, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then it's going to be a backbeat on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, and some of you are like, Steven, that's a really simple groove. Why did we include it? It's not the complexity. It's how deep the pocket is and how original that is for a song. It's just a very unique feel for this. And then the verse goes even further with the different bass drum stuff that he does. It's just a fun song to play. Now, the second measure, it's a 2-bar loop. So the second measure, he's going to add a kick drum on, so it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we raise it on 12, all right? Let's put all of that together. I'll play it slowly and then I'll speed it up, play it album tempo around 98 BPM. It's such a fun groove to play. Learn the verse groove as well. Sheet music below this, download that, please, please, please. It's a really fun song to play. Again, this has been one of the most requested lessons I've ever had, so hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully they've been 5 of your favorite grooves. If not, put down in the comment section, what are your favorite grooves by Jeff? Again, it's almost impossible to pick whenever somebody has a history like he does, a discography like he does, recording credits like he does. He's just a phenomenal drummer and one of the best to play the instrument, in my opinion, in recent history. So please go download that sheet music as well. Jump over and watch the rest of the videos in this series. If you ever need help with your drum lessons, jump over to stevensdrumshed.com. It's an organized drum lesson system that's catered to your specific needs. I'd love to have you over there. We've got a great community of drummers just trying to learn and grow together, and I'd love to have you be a part of that. Hit that thumbs up button if this has helped you and share it with somebody you think it may help. But whatever you do, I'll see you here in the next lesson.